All right, my friend. So here you can kind of see my setup, my workbench. I got this for like I think 150 bucks from Harbor Freight, and it was one of the best buys I had. You can see here's my soldering machine, 50 bucks on Amazon. It's nice because you can control the temperature. You can see here's all just some miscellaneous stuff. I've got some tape with my logo on it. Here's a lot of my ribbons, you know, rotary cutters. You can see here's the new stamping machine here. It's super nice because this flips down. It's got a laser on it. I'll show you that at some point. Okay, hopefully that will hold. Some really basic things I can kind of go over is like some of the tools and such that I, kind of my main sort of tools. So I use 3 rulers. So I use this to get my straight edge. I actually just bought this one today. I like it a little bit better because I don't like this cork underneath, so I was looking for something flat. This is also a little bit longer. So this, and then this is a really important one I use. This is called a beveled ruler, and what I do is I use it to measure distances from another distance. So for instance, if this line right here, let's say that's where the end of my liner is, and I want to do say a 3/8 inch fold over, what I'll do is I'll line 3/8 up, and then all I have to do is just trace it right here. So I'll show you that process at some point. But so yeah, get a right angled one, a little bit bigger one, bevel ruler. I could probably use another like smaller ruler, but that's what I've been working with, and it's worked out just fine for me. And you're gonna, at least for me, I go through several progressions of measuring, and so once I kind of show you the process, you'll see there will be different times I pull out the rulers. This is what I cut all my leathers with. It just makes it so much easier than trying to use a box knife. I just line it right up with the ruler. These blades do get dull, so you do have to replace those. These are like 15 bucks or something. Let me back up with the rulers. I do have a tape ruler, and I'll show you why that is at another time. This is my roller. I got rollers at Hobby Lobby and all that stuff, and they just weren't good. I got this on Amazon for, I think it's like 10 bucks, and this thing is super heavy. So I also use it sometimes to keep things in place. So I use it as a weight and that. I also have I'm an LSU fan, some LSU bean bags that helps me keep things in place as well. Let's see, paint brushes. So I typically like to have one big one for like when I'm gluing the outer liner to the liner, and then you want to have a little bit smaller one, and then you want to have a real small one. White pins to mark on the black leather. I bought this set of different sort of tools and stuff from Hobby Lobby. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Not the best quality. My recommendation is this is a tool from Tandy. I think it's like 20 bucks or something, but this thing is worth it. These other ones I've gotten, they tend to bend and not be as sturdy. This is the box cutter you want, $5 at Hobby Lobby. I tried doing the X-Acto knife and stuff. I keep my X-Acto knife, I keep this blade really dull for when I do my corners, so I can show you that as well. I'm going to say that over and over, I'll show you that, but I really will. Pair of scissors, obviously. And then soldering machine, I'll turn it on so you can kind of see. You can adjust the temperature, which is really good. I use the very basic head. I don't make it real sharp or anything else. And then let's see, stamping machine. So this is probably going to be your most expensive endeavor, because you either need to do one of two things. So you either need to get different letters with different fonts. It's got to be the right size, you know, with the holder and all that. So I actually found, here's a tip, I actually found somebody on Etsy who, she makes custom stamps for very, very, very cheap. So I got a test stamp. You can see it's just Holy Bible, and it worked out perfect. I obviously have my logo stamp, which I've had for a while, so I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but I think this stamp was something like $17. So I actually have an order on the way of about 10 stamps where it's kind of each individual translation. The biggest thing is you just need to measure it out and make sure it's the appropriate size. That's the hardest part, because when you send the design over to her, she'll send it back with you know, measurements and everything. I'll go over leathers and stuff like that. But another big tool, sorry, I'm gonna have to move this, is my my skiving knife. This is the English right-handed one. I think you said you ordered the left-handed one. I actually made this little leather piece to put on here, so it was a little bit more comfortable. I also have this knife, which I think I got off of Amazon, once again, probably like $20 or something, very inexpensive like that. And I do use both of them. I use them for completely different purposes, but it's nice to have both of them. This one I mainly use as like the main method of getting it down, and I use this for like detailed work. Like, let's say there's a section that's not as thin as another section, I'll use this one kind of like, you know, up and down like this to kind of even it out a little bit. So those are the knives. I do use, I should have just gotten this out. I don't know if you can hear the thunder, but it is thundering very, very much here. This is what I use to sharpen. I mean, you can get it at Walmart. It's 1500 grit. It's like supposedly like auto detailing. I mean, you can get bigger sheets of it too, like at Ace or, you know, different stores like that. But there's really no magic to sharpening your knife, other than when you sharpen it, you want to hold it at the same angle. So I'll show you that here in a minute. PVA glue, this is the most important piece. Do not use any other glue. Every other glue is going to harden up and then it's going to get brittle. This remains flexible, so get this and get a lot of it. Another really cool thing I got, once again, Hobby Lobby, these little applicators, glue applicators, and I use this quite a bit for some more of my kind of detailed glue work. Let's see, what else? So there's obviously ink pads and different things for the page edges. I do it with this. I'll probably do a video on that at some point for you. Spine material. So I have found any spine material will work. I have found this is the best. It's very, very sturdy. It's you know, to me it just works the best. Headbands, you can get all sorts of different kind. So you can get like the assorted packs on Amazon. These are all cotton. They're not terrible. I did Rebinds with that for a while. But if you go to like Hollanders or Talus or anything like that, they're gonna have these silk headbands that you can order either by the foot or the yard. That would be my recommendation. I actually just placed the order for more. Oh, I don't have it over here. Let me grab it. I have a small little knife. This is actually like a multi-tool type knife, but this is a perfect tiny little knife to do certain things with. And then actually, this weekend I actually got a sewing machine, so I'm going to start learning how to do perimeter stitching. Okay, so let's do some skiving. So you're gonna want a stone. Now, don't be an idiot like me and try other things and waste all this money. Just spend the money. I think I got this one from Talus. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks or something, but it's worth it. You can't really skive on anything else, and the reason why is it doesn't catch on anything. Quick side note, I actually bought one of these smaller little mats and I cut it and I made little you know, I rounded it the way I want it, so I know that this is the corners on my interior gilt lines. This is the corners on my exterior tooled lines. It just helps a lot to have those templates. But let me grab a piece of leather here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of show you kind of some examples of different types of leather and how they skive and everything. So this is my black Sakota goat skin. You can kind of see it's a little bit stiffer than the other colored ones. I get them from the same place. I don't know why that is, but it is. And so they skive, because of that, they skive different. So I'll kind of show you. I'll kind of show you both here. And then this is actually a leather I had gotten from my friend. For my friend, it's a really nice, kind of rough, grainy, super soft goat skin. You can kind of see it's a little stretchy. Once again, skive's completely different. So let me cut a piece of this green, which is going to be one of the softer of the goat skins, and I'll kind of see if I can kind of show you some tips and tricks. So first thing, I usually give a spray or two of water on here, and then just sharpen it. So I angle it up like this. And the one thing you're going to want to play around with too is your knife sharpness. So there are some leathers I found that it's better that your knife is like super sharp, and then there's other leathers that I actually leave my knife a little bit duller. Like the black, I leave my knife a little bit duller because it doesn't tend to grab and then rip through that exterior area. Oh, I didn't see that there. Hold on. Let's cut that so I can get kind of a straight line here. Sorry, I probably should have all this prepared before I just started filming. This is my first video, so we'll see. We'll see if you find it helpful. Maybe I'll record some and post them on YouTube. Who knows? Okay. So let's kind of move this back into focus. Okay. So when I skive, before, especially once I get to the part of I've cut my leather, everything like that, I always will grab a piece of that same exact leather and do like a practice on it. So for instance, if I had leather cut for a green cover, I'd grab a piece like this and just test it out. I want to make sure I'm getting my consistency right. And so by no means am I a pro at this at all. I fumble my way through this a lot. But the biggest thing is the more level the knife is, the better it's going to be. Also, too, if you kind of see, I'm kind of angled on it, right? So I'm not going to be skiving like this. I'm going to be skiving more like, more like this. And the one thing I've learned is you want kind of your friction point to be on this inside end. If you're putting your friction point on this end like this, that's when you can start to rip into that that outside part. And so here we go. I like to just start off with a small, nice, clean, I'm just gonna go very light, see how this is going. And you can kind of see there, I can actually get a little bit deeper here. So I'm gonna go just a smidge deeper. There we go. And then once again, friction point here. Friction point there. Alright, I'm going to cut that piece off so you can kind of see just how thin that really is. So I'm just going to keep going. Friction point on that inside end. For you will probably be that left hand side. For me, it's the right hand side. And here's another thing. So I don't know if you can kind of see this leather here, but there's almost like 3 distinct kind of roughness to it. So this part right here is like super soft. This is a little bit thicker, this is a little bit thicker. So what happens is I start to move through those different areas. You might have to change how much pressure you're putting, all that kind of stuff. It just comes with practice. It just comes with practice. So I'm going through that soft end here. Pressure on that right hand side, nice and smooth. Once again, you kind of see I'm side swiping it, I guess is maybe the best kind of terminology. So there you go. So one other thing is so if you notice right here, because of the way I'm cutting, there's this kind of spot I wasn't able to get to. So like if we were to assume this was kind of an angle of the corner we were doing, you're always going to kind of be left with a spot like this. At least I have been. Because I'm going right, I can go clear to the right, but because of the way I'm doing it, there's really nothing here, if you see what I mean. So this is where I have to get a little bit tricky with it, and I'm going to get almost parallel with this leather here, and I'm just going to kind of go in. This is the hardest way to cut with this knife, so I only do this on that part. And so here would be a great example of when I would use maybe this other knife, right? So you can see this comes further down. This is where I might kind of thin that out right there a little bit. This will also help you clean up in some areas. You know, you're gonna find your own way to do it. My recommendation would be, once you get your knife, get that leather and just cut little strips. Just cut little strips for yourself, just enough to where you can hold on to it, and that'll give you a lot more practice. Practice cutting a corner and skiving to the corner. So let's do this so you can actually see where I was practicing on this one. This is my favorite leather to use. It's the most difficult to skive. So let's see what I can do here. I'm gonna cut a bit of it here. But because of how, once again, how kind of thick this and firm it is, it's just, for whatever reason, man, it's just a lot harder to cut. Might help if I undid the safety on this thing. Alright, so this is where I'm going to be real careful. I mean, I've had to really modify some covers because I've screwed up on this. I've had to do a lot of gluing and different things, but I'm going to leave. So this would probably be about the time where I would sharpen again. Depending on how many cuts you're making and everything, you might have to sharpen 1, 2, 3, 4 times throughout the process. But I like to keep a little bit duller of a knife with this, so I am just gonna be real easy with this. And this one I kind of have to do in like small little batches, so you can see right there how close I got. You can actually, I don't know if you can see that, but you can kind of see, you know, once I glue that, it's not noticeable, right? But you can just see how absolutely finicky, man, this stuff is. So a lot more smaller cuts. Pressure on that right hand side, because you're typically not going to cut into your leather on that inside part. And sometimes you can kind of get in kind of a rhythm with this. You know, you kind of once again, you can kind of see here, this is kind of the middle of the hide, and it gets this kind of like, at least on this, I don't know if this is tissue or what it is, but it is a lot more easy to cut. And so you just have to know your leathers to know, okay, I'm hitting that spot in this leather where I'm gonna have to change up how I'm cutting with it. I didn't like that. Oh, come on. So I can tell my knife's getting duller at this point. See, I cut into a little bit of that leather. However, I usually measure out, as you'll see in another video, I usually measure out a little bit longer than I need, because a lot of this leather tends to stretch and everything. I glue my liner, once I've skived it, I glue my liner to it. I measure it out and I end up trimming off a little bit, so it's kind of a nice clean cut. So something like that is, at least the way I do it, not the end of the world. See, there you go. So I should not have come this way on it. That's how I just ripped that. So there's an example of kind of a thicker or just more sturdy sort of a sturdy one. This one I am actually going to sharpen. This is kind of soft and stretchy. So let's give it a nice little. Alright. Sorry, I have to keep touching my GoPro screen. Okay, so as you can see, this is definitely a thicker leather than this Sakoto. And so it's going to take a little bit more work, but this stuff is super stretchy, so I have to get my hand real close to it. So here we go. I'm going to kind of so once again, if you pivot on this right hand side, the other part of the blade just kind of follows how it should. I don't know if that makes sense, but and this is one that kind of, once I get going on it, I might kind of just keep it going, and I might do a little bit more. I might straighten my blade up a little bit more, but see, like that cut right there, that's kind of what you want to do on a leather like this. So here I'm going to keep going with this because I know I have the right depth here, and I'm not really going to, I'm going to get this real parallel. Clean cut this through. Alright, so here you can see this is very soft. So the one thing to remember when skiving is you're not only skiving for this very end piece, but you're also skiving for the fold over as well. So like with this here, I got really good on this piece here, but when I go to kind of fold it over, I didn't get as much as I wanted to. So here's where once again I take this other knife, which is a lot better for kind of this motion. You still kind of have to do the side, the side motion. But here's where I can just get a lot more detailed with it. Now you will, after doing it like this, you can see all this stuff right there. You are going to have to come and, obviously do a clean line, because that's going to look like a mess. But, there's no, you kind of have to find your rhythm, you know what I mean? And I know it sucks to hear, but it's just like a practice thing, right? My recommendation would be use one leather. Perfect using that leather. I learned a lot from Frost, and he says the same thing. Use one leather and perfect using that leather. And then, you don't have to worry a lot about adjusting how you do things. So that would be my biggest recommendation. Find the leather you want to use, go with that, and then you'll just get so good at it. Second thing, figure out your process. That way, every time you do a Bible, you do it the same way every single time. So hopefully this helps with the skiving. I don't know if I really showed you how I was holding it, but I always kind of put my finger there, and I always have my pinky kind of underneath it, even when I'm going kind of parallel. I'm always going to have my peaky just underneath it a little bit. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to try to record a video kind of front to back of me doing a rebind. I'm actually finishing up this one. I started yesterday. It's a New King James Bible. I still need to do my exterior tooled lines, the stamping on the outside and inside, and then I'm going to do another line for the double gilt lines. The corners, that's another thing that, you know, you gotta, that's the key. That's the key, the corners. That is the difference between an okay rebind and a really good rebind. I'll do another video too of like the actual spine work and kind of the tools for spine work. If you're gonna get a book press, get a big one. So this was one I initially got. This is kind of the most common one, and then this is the one I have now. And the reason why is this one, if you can see where these screws are, you only really have about 9¼ inches to work here. And two, you don't want to even get that close because this is going to screw up the edges of the page. So I just bought a bigger one. If you're a handy guy, you can make one for super cheap, but I'm not super handy like that. So hopefully this helps.